So as promised for this week, I was going to go over a couple. We have at least two Divrei Torah on the parasha, and then we're going to do some just a few halachot on Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. So let's see. Here we go. So first, what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about the concept of in this week's parasha of Pinehas. So Pinehas was by many accounts a zealot, and what we mean by somebody who is a zealot means that somebody who is overly excited about their cause. They act in very in very extreme ways. That would be how we would describe it. So I just wanted to start with a story. This is a very cool story that I heard from Rabbi. It's from the Musar action of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. So this is a very cool story. It's a rough story, but it shows us something, very important. So the story goes as follows. The story is that there was a town in the United States where again Rav Moshe Feinstein was fond of, and he would send correspondence back and forth. So this is just for sake of accuracy, that this town received a question that they said that they were told to send it to Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. It was a town in Russia that again was under communist rule, and it was very bad times for the Jews during that communist rule. And what happened is that there was this Jewish man who was very wealthy, but was really a rasha. He really didn't want to help the community at all. And through his entire life, all he wanted to do was make life miserable for the Jews. He was against them. He would try to rat them out to the government. He would make life miserable for them. And, even now we have a lot of self-hating Jews. So same thing. Back then, there were a lot of self-hating Jews, especially in the communist climate. It was very difficult. This man passes away. Now, once he passes away, his children and everybody, they find a note. They find a note from him, and the note seems to be a note about him doing teshubah. He says, "Look, I would like to be buried in, outside of the Jewish cemetery. I want you to disrespect my body. I want you to do what the Gemara says and throw stones at my aron when I die, and rip the shirt and rip the shirt. You guys okay?
Yes.
You good? Okay, good. Right. And rip the shirt and really just as a part of my tikkun, I want you to disrespect me in my death." So they run to the rabbi and they say, what should we do? We need to know, should we honor this man's request or not? And they got the request expeditiously to Rav Moshe Feinstein. Rav Moshe Feinstein sent back, and he said, "You must bury him according to halacha." He said, "We do not listen to such a request. We have nothing to do with this man in his requests, and that's it. We're going to do the right thing." And really, the Havra Kadisha, they were upset. They said, "No, look, he wants to do teshubah. He's been torturing us all these years. It's better that he's outside of the cemetery. This is what we should do." What's up, guys? Come on in. Welcome. Sorry we started, but it's all good. Yeah, what's going on? Good to see you. Kavod, no, come sit in the front row. Don't worry, you're not on camera. Sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay, so in the middle of the story, he says, "No, you're not allowed to bury in that way. You can't. You have to bury him in the Jewish cemetery." Hi, Fortune. Welcome. What's going on? I'm going to send out another reminder that class starts at 8:30. for everybody. No. What's up, Fortune? How you doing?
Hi, Rabbi. I
you
just
doing?
came back from Allegra Franco, so that's why I'm a little late.
Oh, gotcha. Right. I got all of the Stark constituents are here now from Allegra. Okay, good. Is Sylvia with you? I don't answer that. I guess not. Okay, it's all good. Okay, so let's come back to this. So what was the story again? Very quickly. So we see Rav Moshe Feinstein. He gets a responsa. He says, "Look, there's this Rasha. He's been bothering the entire Jewish community for who knows how many years. Finally, passes away. They find a will from him that says." I don't want to be buried in the Jewish cemetery. Please disrespect my body as much as possible. Throw stones at the Aron. I want to do teshuvah. They send it back to Rav Moshe Feinstein. They say, Rabbi, can we do this? Rav Moshe Feinstein says, nothing doing. We can't do this. We have to treat him with respect. 3 weeks later, they get a knock on the door. The head rabbi in Russia gets a knock on the door and says, show me this man's grave. Right? And it's a whole cavalry of the goyim, of the government. They come and they show the master. They show the head of the Havra Kadisha comes in and shows this goy with his whole cavalry. Here's where he's buried. Come look and investigate. They ask him to unearth the body. They unearth the body. They open it and they see that everything is buried according to halacha. The goyim are very apologetic. They say, I'm so sorry to bother you. This is obviously a mistake. This obviously somebody was trying to slander you. They said, who's trying to slander you? They said, we actually got a responsa from this man before he passed away saying that the Jews are plotting against you. Watch how they're going to treat my body. They're going to send me outside of this cemetery. They're going to disrespect my body and they're going to treat me in a horrible way. Had they listened and not followed the halacha, what would have happened? The entire city would have been in jeopardy because they would have shown that this man was indeed what? He was indeed disrespected. Following the halacha and doing the right thing saved, true story, saved this town. What in Hashem's name does this have to do with Pinehas, right? So there's an adage that talks about Shlomo HaMelech said it in Kohelet. It says, Al tehi sadik harbe. Don't be too much of a sadiq. Does that mean don't be too much of a sadiq? I spent my whole life trying to be a very big sadiq. What does it mean? It means don't try to be too righteous for your own good. Sometimes when we try to outthink ourselves and outsmart ourselves, we do the wrong thing. This applies to the story of Pinehas. What's the number one question that we have? And you'll share this on the table. The number one question that we have about Pinehas, Carol, what's your question? About the actions of Pinehas. Do you remember what he did?
Oh, wait, you mean
that he stabbed? Who did he
so
stab?
Zimri and Cosby.
Good,
Yes.
good. There you go. You zoned out a little bit, but
I
good
mean,
save.
How is this too nice?
Okay, that house is too nice. Everyone knows it's not too nice.
Not too nice, but like how?
What do we got,
this,
Jack?
How is this like too righteous for his own good?
That's what I'm asking. Linda, what's up? No, you don't know? You're not raising your hand? Sorry.
Why is it okay? Meaning, like, God gives him Berit Shalom.
Okay.
He just killed people. We understand why, but what does this say about doing this in general? Can we learn from him for the future?
Okay, great. Why is this okay? Great. I want. You're right there. In regards to whom? Who is standing right there that should have handled it?
Moshe.
Good. Okay, right. Same point that you were saying, but just who is Pinehas?
Right.
That Moshe is right there. Moshe's right there. Why can't you let him handle it?
Like normally when like with a parent and a child, if the child tries to, like help their sibling, but the parent is right there. Like, shouldn't the parent be doing it?
Most of the time, that's a pet peeve of mine that I keep yelling at you for. No, I'm kidding, Kat. You're great. But again, yes, Carol's right. But so what's the deal? This adage, Al Tihi Sadiq Harbe, applies. Al Tihi Sadiq Harbe means sometimes you might say, no, Moshe, who am I? It's not my place. Not my place. you're trying to be too much of a Sadiq. You see an injustice that's going on. There's so many other Pesukim that tell you, if you see, "Hocheach tochiach et amitecha," for one, that you have to go and tell people when they're doing something wrong, right? B'makom she'en ish, yishtadeh lihiyot ish, right? That's also adage in Pirkei Avot. So there's so many other times that tell us to say, you know what, it's time to take action. And we see that Pinhas was rewarded. The concept of al tehi Sadiq harbeh is one of the central themes of Pinhas. Now I'm going to get a little political before I take questions. I just want to make sure Susie's here because Susie likes when I get political. Susie, you here?
Hi, Rabbi.
What's up, bro? You ready? You ready? You ready to get intense?
Yep.
I'm ready. I'm ready for you to fight back.
Okay.
Oh, here's Louisa Arazi also ready to fight back. Oh, this is going to be great. She just signed in. Fortune will back me up too. Ready? Here we go. Yeah, I'm hitting the politics. Ready? So now, Alti Sadiq Harbeh. I think everybody can agree that not only do Black lives matter, but I think all lives matter. Can I get a thumbs up? Can I get a virtual thumbs up
They do,
from everybody?
but they're focusing on Black people because they are legit in jeopardy. Like, think about it like this.
I'm trying to. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Tell me.
Think about it like this. Let's say a friend of yours breaks their limb. Should everybody get the same care as that one because all limbs matter? No, you have to pay attention to the friend whose limb is broken and not sure, everybody else's lives matter, but this person specifically.
Because he's saying it's a worse break.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, great.
She's saying nobody else's legs. She's saying nobody else's legs are actually
Like,
broken.
for example, like, we aren't really facing as much oppression as them. Like,
As Jews.
I mean,
We
They're
not
not.
white.
right. We
Right.
white people. Right.
true,
Okay.
like,
I got you. Okay, good. Not all a valid point, but what am I trying to say? Alti Sadiq Harbeh. What's a very give me some play the other side for a second. Give me some injustices that you think were done during this latest Greg Floyd. George Floyd. I call him Greg. Because Gregory, like you could say George. But yes, George Floyd. What do you got?
well, you mean in regards to everybody? Well, basically, the police tear gassing people.
No, that's not injust
No,
meaning.
She's saying the opposite.
No, I want to say
What do you
yeah.
mean?
You're saying the other side, like people.
No, give me some things that were not consistent with the mess. I think we could all agree that the police officer was insanely wrong for what he
but it
did,
doesn't
correct?
mean burn down a police car. Is that what you're saying?
Good, yes,
But
correct.
apparently
What
people-
else? Looting. Okay, good. Talk about the looting for a little bit. Then talk about it.
Oh, I just talked about it.
Yeah, like what about the looting?
I don't think it has anything to do with Black Lives Matter.
Right, absolutely. It's just an excuse to loot. It actually hurts their cause because it shows
And
that they're.
going very extreme with all
And
their
people are
things.
One
saying,
second. Let's get everybody in.
No, they're just going very extreme with the police, taking police out of shows and this and that.
Yeah, like Paw Patrol.
Paw
Was
Patrol. What is that?
There's really such a thing. Let's
what
take
happened?
out.
They took
There's
Chase.
Chase.
Any episodes with Chase because he's a cop dog.
But he's not even a real.
Okay, so
cop.
that's what do you say? The way that you say is what's the quote? Al tehi Sadiq Harbeh. Relax, meaning there's a limit between the justice.
Victimization of yourself.
Absolutely. I think
don't victimize yourself.
Don't victimize
People
yourself.
are saying
And don't be overly meaning I'll tell you a baseball example because I'm a very big baseball fan. Are you guys on Zoom paying attention?
Paw Patrol and baseball. We got it.
Yeah, nice, Susie. Good. I'm loving it. Molly, we good. Everyone's giving me thumbs up. Good. Okay. And if you have a comment, raise your hand so that I can unmute you so that everybody here could hear you. Okay. So what's the point? The point is that Alti Sadiq Harbeh, meaning I agree with you, Carol, that I think that the original thing is we have to be a light onto the goyim. We have to show sympathy. We don't know what it's like as, we'll say Anglo-Saxon, types of people or privileged people to be able to, we're not afraid when a cop stops us. We don't know what it's like to grow up in that environment. That's true. But that answer is not with violence. The answer is not with tearing down every statue. The answer is not taking, Mountain Landis Hennessy's name off of the MVP trophy in baseball because he was one of the last people in 1944 because he was against segregation in sports in 1944. I think you got to get over it. You want his name off the trophy here. So I'm never going to have anybody's name. If I took everybody's name off of anything that had a checkered past, then there would be nothing left. I'll give you an example. Yeah, it's a bird.
Also,
Right.
some people.
Right, anti-Semite. So anybody who's an anti-Semite, so I should wipe their name off. Not only that, Kat, one last thing. Not only that, what else could I say? I could also say that anybody who was a womanizer, anybody who beat children, anybody who had a colored, I think we should not listen to any Michael Jackson songs ever.
But it's the art, not the artist.
Ah, okay. I would agree with you. Alti Sadiq Harbe. So a person's beliefs about race or racism in the 40s, we're going to take his name off of plaques.
It's like with
It's
Lincoln,
outdated.
Abraham Lincoln.
It's I understand it's outdated, but they're bringing everything back. Let's hear
When we
Jacqueline.
do
Come on.
everything the same way we look at Torah, we always need to take everything in context. So, like, for example, when Torah is talking about slavery, it's actually trying to push forth a tremendous message about trying the least we can to have slaves. It happens to be interesting. We're talking about slavery and whether you want to look back at racism is not why I was bringing it up, actually. But when you look at the Hammurabi Code relative to what the Torah is saying,
No,
the
we
Torah-
blow it out of the water.
the Torah, it's unbelievably forward thinking and revolutionary beyond for its time.
100%.
So the same way we need to look at whatever Torah is telling us in its time and for its eternal truthful messages, so too do we need to look at history at its time and what was going on and the context that surrounds it. So, for example, Abraham Lincoln, we say he abolished slavery, right? But then we say, oh, he also had slaves. So what's going on? There's a catch-22. You have to always look at what's going on in history at the time. He was actually setting forth something that was positive, but yes, he actually stuck to the norms of his time as well.
I hear that.
So
Absolutely.
it's just like an important thing.
So like what I'm saying, the
Torah also
norms of the
tells us.
NL MVP trophy with Mount Nassau
Some
is
people-
everybody was, listen, there was a very strong color barrier. And so he was like, all right, not in baseball. I don't have to, just because I said no, everybody else was saying no. So just because his name is on he also helped baseball. He helped pave the way, even though he didn't vote for them. But he said he was able to bring money into the league and players into the league and
We're saying
expansion into the league.
context is telling. It's not necessarily an excuse.
I
but we're
think
using it
context
to
is telling,
explain something
for
to us that we
sure.
should take into account.
For sure, but I think even better than that, and then I'll go around to let the Zoom people go in, and then I'll come back to Carol. Is that I think the point is that had Pinhas been too much of a Sadiq, we would have been in trouble. And what I think what that means is that it's certain things that are that they can look at. You think you're doing a nice thing, but many times you're not doing a nice thing. And what that means is, and I'll give you a perfect example. I'll give you the teacher's equivalent because I'm a teacher. Is that you let a person go on to the next grade even though they haven't mastered their Hebrew. So this is called Rahmanut Shebali de Achzariut. You're being Rahman, you're being merciful on that person by saying, Hazita, you're not going to let her go to the next class. She's not going to be with her friends. She's not. Yeah, but you know what? This is the same person that turns around in 10th grade and I'll use a strong word, curses out their school and says, we never learned anything in this school. Oh, see, I can't speak Hebrew. It's the fault of the teachers. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. There is an aspect of you're being Rahman, but it's leading to cruelty. And you could my example is because it pains me with every bone in my body to have my shul closed, right? I think it's the right thing. I think once they start opening up, I was a very big advocate to start opening up. We did start to open it up, but I have to walk into Target with a mask and leave my family because I have to go to people so that I can have enough milk for my kids because there's a milk quota at Target. But when people want to destroy Louis Vuitton, there's no restriction as to how many people could be together on top of each other with no mask. That to me is not only hypocrisy, but it's the definition of al-tihi sadiq harbe. Meaning you want to say, I want to, right, a person like de Blasio wants to say, you got to let them protest. Like Carol said, this is the limb that's broken. Yeah, but if you really believe that it's dangerous to have people together, how could you endanger everybody? You're being a sadiq harbe. You're almost having reverse racism. White people who deserve to be in colleges can't be there because there's a minority quota, which I think is important so that we diversify, but I don't see any people saying that the NBA has too many black players. You should let white people play basketball. That's ridiculous because The people that are in the NBA, regardless of color, those are the best players in the world. I don't care if they're black, this, whatever it is, they're the best. They get to play. I'm a 5'7" white guy. I'm not gonna play. It's just a fact.
Like a 6'3".
6'3" white guy can, a 6'6" white guy can play. Of course, I'm not doing with color, but I'm saying that's like me taking something that's a profession. Think of the logic. We need more. Let's not use black. We need more Asian doctors
Or female doctors.
or female doctors. Why? I want the best. If all the best doctors in the world were female, I would want a 100% female doctor regime. I want the best doctors. Period.
Yeah,
Why do I need people who are not good doctors?
like I was talking to my cousin.
Logically, it doesn't make
I was
any
talking
sense.
to my cousin Ruthie the other day about how she wants to get into.
Speaking
this
of
program.
Ruthie, guys, call Ruthie. She's very glaringly missing from the class.
So
Just saying.
Like basically,
Roasted.
like Ruthie, since like she wants to get into this medical program that's very very selective, and that program also wants a lot of minorities. But so she said, oh, like she should play this card saying, oh, there's not a lot of women. I want to be one. But the fact that she has to.
She is a woman.
I know, but the fact that she
No,
has
saying
to
has
do
to.
that, the fact that she has to do that is a little bit ridiculous. Like, why can't they just look at her talent? and
I
not her
am
gender or
saying
race?
that. I mean, again,
And
I think
this is
this-
a known thing. There's been many articles about
Right, so I'm saying I'm
corruption within colleges.
100%, and we've seen it. So I think this is another example. I've proven the point. We'll go around to the Zoom. Alti Sadiq Harbe. I think that's one of the lessons that we understand from Pinehas. Let's go around the Zoom classroom and get some thoughts. Fortune, what do you got, Fortune?
Okay, so I'm thinking it's like not being too like you're not being too religious, like, you're like too, I don't know, there has to be a balance. Like you can't just,
I like that word, balance.
I don't know, you have to be fair. I don't know how to explain
And
myself at the
It's very
moment.
difficult because I think I like the two words you use, balance and fair, because a lot of times, and I think Carol's point was well taken, that sometimes when you have a wounded duckling, you're going to tend to that wounded duckling first. And there's
For
no
sure.
question that the African American community has suffered as a whole.
See, some people believe it.
Let me just finish with anybody else? Serena, what do you got?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have to be rational. You can't think like have a small mind about things. You have to think in a big picture more.
Is most of the Zoom agreeing with you? Are they just saying like blanket statements about like things that they believe in? I'm just.
One second, can you guys hear Jacqueline or not really?
Not really, no.
Not really, no. Okay, so let me get around to you. She wants to know if you guys are agreeing with me
Or like if they're just saying things
Or you're
in general that like they find.
or you're
to be
just saying
important
things in general.
lessons.
You agreeing with what I said?
Yes, agreeing.
Yeah, we agree with what you said.
Serena's agreeing. Susan's agreeing. Fortune, you agreed or not really?
There's a lot of what you said. Are you talking about something specific? Like,
No. Give me something that you disagreed with me on or that you felt strongly about. Sorry about all the bugs back here. I don't know. It's not so good. Next time on Zoom.
Fireflies are pretty. Don't worry about it.
Pretty, but not on your legs. You know what I'm saying? But okay, Fortune, we're good. Molly, what about you? She went to the dash. No, I'm kidding, Molly. All right, give me a thumbs up. She's quiet. She's humble.
But I want to say like,
Oh,
I
Serena. Oh,
yeah,
come on.
yeah. Okay, you said feel strongly. So like, I feel strongly that yes, we want the best people in each field. It shouldn't be dependent on like on their gender or race or anything like that.
Right.
But society's built like that. So it's gonna take time and effort to get it out. And the
No,
way
you're
that
right.
they're
I don't
doing
know. I
it,
don't know.
that's why.
I hear you. You don't want. Look, let's leave gender out of this, right? But let's just say, how do I say this? If there was, God forbid, a burning building and I had to be lifted out of the burning building, I would want there to be a 6'8" strong individual rather than a 5'7" weakling just because they got the job because they had to give it to that person. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like we're compromising to the point of we're sacrificing quality in our society. I agree that diversity can, in most fields, or certain, I shouldn't say most, in certain fields, can lead to a better society. And I feel like we're at the tipping point where Yeah, chas v'shalom, that should happen. Fortune, don't worry. I won't be in a burning building. Don't worry, I'm good. Thank you for that. All right, she's like chas v'shalom, Rabbi. Right, but the point is that I believe that we've the types of civil rights that Dr. Martin Luther King was fighting for were basic human rights that I think that everybody could agree on. Now the fact that I have to worry that when I send my young 8-year-old daughter into a public bathroom, that there might be a slightly deranged, possibly confused, or maybe medically have a medical condition biological male, walk into the same restroom as her is very unsettling to me. And I think that should be unsettling to the entire society.
I'm still so confused about why this is a thing, but that's a discussion.
I think it's liberalism and this taken to the extreme. I think it's you have to be a Sadiq, but al tihi Sadiq harbe. It gets you in trouble. That's the point.
Some people they use this violence as they say, oh, our violence is justified because we try peacefully protesting, but the government ignores us.
Okay, but the you know what? I get ignored from a lot of things too. I don't go burn the post office. I'm serious. I don't do that. I'm not gonna burn the post office. Too much of a good thing is not good. Yes, Fortune. I agree with that. Okay, good for Devar Torah number 1. Molly, definitely. Good. I'm just reading the comments out loud because people can't see the board. Okay? Good. Serena giving the thumbs up. Susie, parting shots? I'll give you parting shots.
What?
I'll give you the last word. Do you want to say something?
I think I agree with everything you said, and it has to do with applying to college. I'm scared that since I'm not Black or Latina, I can't get into a better college because I don't have that to get me in. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
I'm worried that I'm a white Jewish girl. I have a lesser chance of getting into a good.
You're a dime a dozen, bro. Yeah. Nothing special going on there, Susan. All right.
So wait, so are you saying?
Let's hear Jacqueline. Jacqueline's gonna challenge you. Jacqueline's in the crowd. I'll say the question again. It's okay. I love when you challenge. I love it.
I know, but this one I don't have much to challenge on. It's okay.
Shocking.
The next one.
Right.
So, wait, are you saying Pinehas though? When you're saying that he should be Sadiq Harbe, you're referring to...
No, I'm saying he conquered that. I want to say that the sickness, quote unquote, of Al Tihi Sadiq Harbe would have been very easily to say, I fall into rank. First of all, you have a lot of stories that were leading up to this. Nadav and Avihu,
Right.
They thought that they could just go to the head of the line and jump. Our first question should be, whoa, how come Pinehas is promoted? This guy should be zapped. How did he? No, meaning if you're trying to think about it, meaning based on what just happened, what gives? What's happening? Shouldn't he be zapped? You're promoting him. Mamlechet Kohanim.
Right.
So what's the difference here? The difference here is that here was a time to act. Here was a time where it required the action of somebody else other than Moshe. We just came out, and now I'm going deeper on a different tangent, but it'll help clarify this. If you guys remember from last week's class, we said that what was one of the biggest sins, according to the Rambam, that Moshe Rabbeinu did by hitting the rock. Rambam says, Shim'una Hamorim. The fact that he got angry at people, and he was going to be angry. He is a beacon of light, not only for that generation in the Midbar, but for everybody. If Moshe Rabbeinu was able to be angry, and not only was he able to be angry, but he wasn't going to get punished for it, what message would that have sent? It's mutar to get angry. You're allowed. What message would it have sent if Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who killed them? Sometimes it can't be you. You ever like, sometimes like you're in like a group of friends and you're like, who should tell her about this? Right? You know, like you tell her. I can't tell her. I'm going to be, why can't everybody just tell her equally? Everybody comes with their own baggage. Everybody comes with their own, oh, I know why he did it. He was just getting to, if Moshe killed it, it would be like, Hazit, the old man just snapped. I just can't take it anymore. Like, it's just like, look at these people. Pinehas, it had to be somebody who was a chieftain, who was well respected, who was in the right place at the right time. And they said, this is the guy.
But is your message that you're taking away from him is, one, don't victimize don't victimize yourself enough that you won't act, and to
I think that was put very nicely. Yes, I would say that. That's A.
and to don't overly humble yourself too, to the point where like it takes away from what you value.
Also correct. Yes.
I don't know if that's what you're going for, or if I just got.
It's
that
part
away
of the.
from it, but-
I think that's a great takeaway. I agree with that.
Okay.
Right. I was my main point, which is great that you unpacked it, was I was trying to say that what Alti Sadiq Harbe was the barrier that Pinhas had to overcome, and we face those barriers in our times as well. I was trying to bring it from Pinhas to our times also, meaning we're too afraid. I think we're very afraid now, and we shouldn't do this because I believe social media is garbage. But let's say I think if we're too afraid to say emet now because truth might be misconstrued. George Floyd was a terrible human being. He was a terrible human being.
How do you know he was?
So good, great. So there's a rap sheet as long as the day is long as
They
long as
knew
there's
each
long.
other. There was a six
There were
times in prison.
7 times in prison. You know the one that's over the top. He pointed a gun at a pregnant woman's belly.
He did.
You know
Which
what's
is in
happening?
What?
They knew each other.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Oh, they knew each other. They worked together.
Really?
They're
That I
the
didn't know.
witnesses.
He was not just this. But I'm saying, Carol, see how
Did you
your
watch Candace
your-
Owens on this?
yes, I saw that girl. It was a little too much cursing for me, but I was
A
okay.
little
with
bit
it.
intense. Yeah.
Right. She was a little bit over the top, but I thought her message was perfect.
She was saying like, I don't want this to be the mark.
That's Candace Owen, guys. Candace Owen.
It's an interesting. It's very interesting.
It is very interesting. Okay. So again, that's where I stand. I think it's a deep message. I think it's something you could share at the table. And I think it's our job as Jews we have to dictate how to be. And we see that we're against genocide. We're against discrimination. However, Alti Sadiq Harbe, like Kohelet says, there's a time for everything. There's a time to kill. We say in the Torah, there's kill Amalek. We do have the death penalty. Even though the Gemara says once in 70 years, it still exists. We do say that when we have this Sihon and Og and Midyanim, the Midyanim, how come the Midyanim were going crazy on them? Because when you withhold food and drink and water, you're a terrible example for the human race. We cannot stand for that injustice. I had that feel. I'm literally sick to my stomach from watching the protests and the riots and how this is tolerated in the great country that we have, where America stands for liberty and for justice. And how is that justice? How are the people who are struggling during COVID-19 and their stores are just absolutely burned and ruined? That my sister-in-law lived in the city. She ran to her in-laws in Deal when the curfew started. She said, even though her in-laws are her father-in-law is in his 80s, and they were scared about COVID. They said, I feel like I'm in prison in the city in Manhattan.
It's like the purge.
So some people keep telling, I don't know what the purge is. They said it's like
It's a movie where like it's a dystopian society where once every year, all crime is allowed for 24 hours. All crime and nothing.
And everyone locks up. That was like the
and everyone locks up.
curfew.
Right.
When everyone's like, we can't go outside.
Everything, you could even murder people?
Yes,
Yes, they do.
and that's what makes the storyline. I didn't watch this, but actually Mordars told me about it.
Okay, that was.
Got that on cape. Got that on. What was that? An actual bird?
No, just some beetle.
Sorry, it's these beetles that are here.
Delicious.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. All right, guys.
That was lesson 1. Okay.
That was lesson 1. We're gonna run. I know at 9:15 anybody who has to leave can leave. 9:10. Okay, we have some time. Let's go with lesson number 2 from the parasha. We want to analyze. Yeah, these beetles, they're loving me. Okay. One of the most important points of this week's parasha is not only because now we've analyzed Pinhas's actions, but we have to look at his reward. Does anybody remember his reward? Fortune, what's his reward?
I'm honestly not sure. I can't think of it at the moment.
Okay, great. So good. Carol, what do you got?
Shalom.
Berit Shalom. Excellent. Yeah, Beriti Shalom. But also he gets the kahuna is going to go through him. He gets the city of Shechem, right, according to the according to the legends, and certain prophets are going to come from him. But the key thing is Hineni noten lecha beriti shalom. I want to talk about what shalom means, right? This is another Dvar Torah number 2. That shalom is just so central to our religion. Let's just talk about the basic examples. Our holy city is called
Yerushalayim.
Yerushalayim, based on Yerushalem, and Shalem is Shalom and Shalem are related in the Shoresh, right? When we sign off every Amidah, what do we say? Oseh
Shalom bimromah.
Shalom bimromav.
Shlomo
Okay.
HaMelech.
Excellent. Shalom HaMelech. But wait, what do you mean?
Like it.
He is Shalom.
Isn't his name also Shalom?
Sorry,
Shalom?
how's he done?
And he built Beit Hamikdash, stuff like
It's
that.
time to cut it. No.
No.
I figured.
You want to go on this side?
So
Sorry.
go to the next chair.
Like I remember learning something similar about
Right.
Shlomo HaMelech, because
Right.
his
name-
name is from
Name was also from Shalem and from Shalom. Good. So, what is the concept of Shalom? What does it mean? So, Shalom is often, right? So, we have two explanations of the words. We have Shalom and we have Shalem. I'd like to offer an interpretation of Shalom that really stuck with me, and I think about this when I'm in my Amidah, and I really think, I hope you'll integrate it as well. Good. Yes. Excellent. Fortune. Can you explain? You said the word completeness. What does it mean? Because you're on the right track. Well, to you, what would it mean?
Like wholesomeness. Like I
Good.
can't think of a good word at the moment.
Okay. So
just
for me,
something in its entirety.
excellent in its entirety. You're on the right track. I'm going to give you what I feel like. Shalom to me means inclusion, including everybody. In the same breath, at the end of the Amidah, we say, Kulanu ke'ehad be'or panecha. All of us are as one in Hashem's eyes. Why did Pinhas merit in Beriti Shalom? If you call it peace, I could explain it why. Because he said, look, the Magefa had to end. He killed the people, so he restored peace. Completeness, how would you go with being complete? If you interpret it as being Shalem, you could say, now the Midiani women were out of the camp, and now we are whole, right? We had an infiltration, a crack in the armor, right? And it's all connected. All these stories are connected, one to the other. In last week's parasha, who tried to curse Bnei Israel? Bilam. Balak contracted Bilam, and he couldn't succeed. So what did he do? All right, guess I can't do that. Plan B, send the G's out, right, in their scantily, dressed clothing. Send the Midiani women out and let them get the men, right? Okay, they looks like they win. Shalem, shlemut. Now we're complete again because the Magefa is done. How do you interpret it based on inclusion? So I think what Pinhas was trying to do, sort of like what we said in point number 1, but it's different from the words of Shalom, is he was trying to show that each and every person's actions in the camp matter. You could have chalked up all of the sinning to people who don't matter. And I think we fall into a trap by saying, you know what, people who maybe are not so observant, right? We're using the word observant, not religious, right? That if they're not so observant, they don't really matter. If they're, reform and conservative, etc., if they're unaffiliated, they don't matter. I think the message that Pinehas was trying to show was like, wow, here's a person who's off the derech, who was married or ready to be married, according to many pshatim, to a Midiani princess. Doesn't get more off the derech than that. In our community, and unfortunately I have a few first cousins in this, married a non-Jew, we don't talk to them anymore. The halakha in Shulchan Aruch is if somebody does that, what do? You rip your clothes and you sit shiva. That's not what Pinhas does. What does Pinhas do? There's another angle to looking at his action. He cares. Says this person has, sometimes the person who you don't punish is the person who you don't care about. The person who you let ruin their life, or the person that you let just go, you don't care about them. It's extremely, extremely difficult if, let's say, and God forbid, no one should ever know this, say amen. Fortune, type out a little amen for me.
Okay, you're scaring me.
Right? I'm scaring you? No. Why am I scaring you, Kat? Talk to
Whatever.
me. Tell me.
No,
Talk
no,
it
no,
out.
just
It's a
like,
safe environment.
What's the thing that we won't have, that hopefully we won't have to experience?
People won't have to experience, let's say a person in a family with, let's say, who's gone, let's say has an addiction, or let's say a person who is sinning to the point where you have to intervene, or somebody who is going off the derech and is planning to marry out of the faith. I actually was part of an intervention with one of a person in my class who's ready to marry a non-Jew. And we got together. It was super uncomfortable.
Did you stop it?
We stopped it. We're still not married now. So like everyone's like feeling bad. Like he was ready to marry a girl. Totally Italian girl. God forbid people will go off the derech. Yes, amen, Fortune. I agree. But now let's say he was ready to. It was the most uncomfortable moment like of my life. He's crying, you're ripping him to shreds, you're saying we can't accept this, we won't be your friends. I don't think we did it the right way, looking back at it, but we cared. At the end, he sent each person a text and said, thank you. His whole thing was, thank you for caring.
How did this go back to inclusion?
So what I think is that
caring?
even Cosby and Zimri, right? Not Cosby, but even Zimri.
Cared about Zimri,
correct.
but not Cosby, or yes, Cosby?
No, Cosby is the Midiani princess. I don't
know.
think so.
I was saying
Maybe you could go with it. You want to go with it?
I don't know if I'm going.
You could go with it.
Know if you were
I was not going with it, but you could go with it.
About inclusion within our circle, though.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't mean that I would be. I think that's a separate topic. Should we be doing mass conversion of other people that are non-Jews? Maybe. Let's talk about it. Different topic. My point is that let's start even with that. We can't. If the person lives on Avenue Z, they're like, oh, is this person part of the community?
Right.
And they're like, they say like Ditmas. They're like, Ditmas. Where's Ditmas? I'm like, bro, 2 more blocks after J, a little bit more. They're like, Brooklyn's the largest borough. They're like, really? I'm like, you know how big Brooklyn is, stupid? You just think Brooklyn's from I to S and from East 4th to Coney. Like, I tell them that we're on Bedford. Bedford, we're like, whoa, that's it, Rabbi T. The Bedford called Israel.
We're actually part of the more.
We're on like the tip. We're like the last house in the community, guy.
But like I think
East
like
24th.
We're surrounded by a lot of people who
I&J.
are pretty observant,
What, honey?
We're surrounded by a lot of people who are pretty observant.
Yeah, we are surrounded by that for sure. But my point, guys, and for those of you on Zoom, is that you see that Pinehas even cared enough about Zimri. How many people do we care? It was so easy to say, this guy's going to get roasted. Who cares? And let me step away. He took a huge gamble.
Do you think he was thinking that, though? I feel like
I think it was part of it. I think it was
it's
part of it.
It's a nice and it's still a good lesson, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, if let's say
You cannot buy it. You could say the guy with the spear wasn't saying, I love you so much.
He wasn't saying
I must do this.
He wasn't saying I care about you. I think it was I care about a greater need. Like, I think I care about the whole. Like, talking about shalom.
That's what I mean. Yes.
Like,
so I think that that's how you connect it. I think that a piece of shalom. Here's my chidush. I think a piece of shalom. A piece. I like that. Unintended. Right. A portion of shalom is or an aspect of shalom is inclusion. And I think when we say peace and completeness, we have to also say inclusion. Include everybody. If you see somebody that's off the derech, OTD, right? You have to care about them. It's hard to, because you see in your life, you never know when a person's going to come back. I saw a girl in my grade. This girl was like the most non-observant person, would eat anywhere, do anything, naked when she would walk outside. And I saw her like at the aquarium 2 years ago, and she was covered head to toe. Kids were like, I had to do a triple take. I was looking at Rochelle. I was like, is this Teddy? I was like, you saw this, G? It's her? I was like, so judgmental, very bad about me, very bad.
Did you ask her?
No, I'm not gonna be like, yo, what happened? I'm not gonna, imagine I should have done that. I was like, yeah, I love you. I mean, did you ask? Like, is it you? Right? I like said hi, but like she knew like I was like
She knew you were like.
she knew I was like
checking out the situation.
right. I was clearly shoofing. Like, but not in that way.
Not checking her.
Not checking her out. I was checking it
situation.
out. Yes,
Was she married
good.
and had kids?
Married, kids. They had like the YD Ikey Pa going. I was like, never in a million years. I was like, what are you talking about? But whatever it is, the power of learning Torah and mitzvot. Fortune. Lovely. Okay? The point is that never, ever, 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 ever write somebody off. Could happen generations later. Could not happen with them. Could happen with their kids. I've done many weddings where the husband was Orthodox. The woman was conservative. I wouldn't do reform because like they take Hashem out of the thing, so I have my line. But I'm saying was conservative, and they asked me. They said, "Rabbi, please give us an Orthodox wedding, just in case they want to come back to live in the community." So I consulted with my rabbis, and I said, and Rabbi Aluf was great. He was like, "What do you feel?" Like, yeah, I said, "I feel like I want to do it. I feel like what do I have to lose?" He said, "You're right. What do you have to lose? They may come back." So if 30 years later, even one of their kids comes back, it was worth it.